Welcome to GDs, and this is Snowfall, Season 3. Season starts with Andre anguishing about how the Rock is destroying his community, and he has been able to do nothing. Andre takes Franklin for a ride, and he lets him know that they are at war, and he will do everything to stop him. Sissy is looking to buy a property, and we learn that after Franklin got out, she accepted him back, on the condition that Franklin tells her everything. And now, she is working with him to establish themselves in the real estate market. In addition, Franklin has also accepted Alton back in their lives. Alton has moved in with Sissy, while Franklin got a new place for himself, where he keeps all his money. Leon is handling the projects, and has his own crew, with Fatback being his right-hand man. Though not known to him, he is being watched by someone. Jerome is also opening a new speaker store, jamming Jerome. Franklin learns from Melody that she will be moving away, as she will be going to college. He is happy for her, and gives her some cash, as her graduation present. On the other hand, we see Teddy, along with Lorena and Matt, getting a shipment from a new Colombian drug lord, Rigo Vasco. Rigo wants to own a private club, and asks Teddy to help him get one, and be his partner. Lorena, interacting with Rigo at the exchange, also gets to know that he has a mole inside the DEA. When they return, Lorena wants them to find out who the mole is, but Teddy talks her down, as if they look for the mole now, Rigo will figure out that it was them who leaked the information. As they were about to unload the shipment, Matt has a heart attack. As Matt recovers, Teddy takes him home, where his father blames him for his brother's health. Teddy, not having a pilot, goes to see Gustavo. It is when we learn that after Gustavo recovered from his injuries, Lucia left him, and he has not been able to find her. Teddy wants him to go to Mexico and connect with Lucia's family, so that they can use their routes in order to bring in the shipments. Gustavo, being convinced by Teddy, goes to Mexico with him to get in touch with Lucia's family. They are able to come to an understanding, and Gustavo uses the route to get their first shipment across. As he reaches the warehouse to unload the products, he sees Lorena. Gustavo, knowing her to be a DEA agent, and not knowing that she was working for Teddy, kills her. Teddy, reaching there, knows that if this gets out, their operation will be shut. Thus he covers it up by disposing of Lorena's body and making it look like she ran. Meanwhile, the men keeping an eye on Leon try to jack one of his shipments, but before they could, they are stopped by Leon. We learn that the men who came after the shipment were from the crew of Drew Miller, aka Manboy, and they are running Crompton. Manboy got to know about Franklin's operation from Wanda, but he never ordered his crew to hit Franklin, but only wanted them to keep an eye on things. Manboy, knowing his guys screwed up, goes to Franklin before they come after him. He offers to buy from them directly. In addition, he agrees to give up the only surviving man who got away from them. Franklin, knowing the deal to be more profitable than going after him, agrees for the same. Louis also goes to visit Claudia. And we find out that Claudia survived after being hit by her. But it has resulted in her being in constant pain. Louis assists her with self-medication in order to get relief from pain. The next morning, the police find Claudia dead. Andre, getting to know that it was Franklin's aunt who was last seen with her, arrests her when she was alone. The detectives are waiting for the medical report in order to know if it was a homicide or not. But Andre, wanting to go after Franklin, wants to push Louis. Andre pushed her a lot, but Franklin and Jerome get her out, and they file a complaint against Andre. Franklin, knowing that the recipe for the rock is out, gives Manboy coke instead of rock, and he wants him to cut it and cook it himself. He later tells his family and friends that moving forward, he wants to deal with only a few high-level distributors, as this will not only minimize their exposure and risk, but also give them the option to expand to more territories and earn more. Franklin asks for Avi's help in order to set up offshore bank accounts, as he does not want all of his money to be tracked by Teddy. Avi takes Franklin to Panama to get his account set up. Franklin, being in Panama, was able to figure out that something is not right with Avi. Avi, knowing that he cannot hide the truth from Franklin, lets him know that he was planning to take some of his money for a few days, as he is having cash flow issues. Franklin, getting to know this, loans him the money, and gets his offshore account set up, and gets the taste of the rich life. While in DC, Havemeyer asks Julia to go to Los Angeles. Julia catches up with Teddy and lets him know that the weapons being sent by him are not reaching the Contras, as they are being intercepted. Thus, she was sent there to open up a new route for them. Teddy and Julia go to Central America to connect with a former CIA operative, who is now independent, in order to convince him to allow them to use his runway. Being there, he asks them to take part in a ritual before they discuss work. Julia and Teddy, being high, get intimate. Later, the source agrees to work with them. He also lets Teddy know that there is no future for him and Julia, as he is ready to go through all the pains for the mission to succeed, while Julia is too idealistic. Meanwhile, Leon, going to deliver the product to Manboy, seeing Wanda there, clashes with him, and returns back. Louis, knowing that their egos cannot come between business, goes back and delivers the product, but lets Manboy know that if they want to do business, they will have to throw Wanda out. Manboy, knowing the importance of being in business with Franklin, agrees to it, and he shows Wanda the door. As Franklin returns, he learns that they were outbid on a property that they liked. Sissy, feeling the property to be just right for them, was not happy losing it. She goes with Franklin to buy it back. It is when they learn that the one who outbid them is Sissy's old boss. Franklin offers to buy the property from him, but he is not willing to budge for any amount. He even threatens them. Later, he sends a few of his men after them, but in the morning, he finds his men beaten and tied in his office. Seeing this, he sells the property to them. While Andre, in order to push back at Franklin, goes to his captain and is able to convince him to allow him to raid various places in his neighborhood. As Franklin spends time with Melody, his business is being raided by the cops. During the raids, the police trash Louis and Jerome's home. They even get rough with Jerome, while Andre does nothing to stop them. Franklin, getting to know about the raids, hires the best lawyers, and is able to get his crew out. He also sends a message to them by eliminating one of his men, as he was responsible for disclosing the location of their cookhouse to the cops. Jerome also gets back home from the hospital. Alton warns Franklin that he cannot go after a cop, as if he does, hell will rain on his people. As Andre celebrates a big drug bust with his friends, he is lured by a woman, and when he wakes up, he finds that his gun and badge were missing. And we learn that the woman who lured him was sent by Louis. Andre, losing his gun and badge, is being investigated by Internal Affairs. And having complaints of false imprisonment and excessive force already against him, he is suspended. Teddy and Julia return back after setting up the route in Central America. Julia, connecting with Teddy, asks him to run away with her, while Teddy offers her to shift with their son to LA and tells her that he will keep them safe. Teddy also asks her that she should not disclose his assets to the agency and keep them safe. But we learn that she was actually sent by Havemeyer to study all aspects of Teddy's operation. While Jerome, being back, wants to move out of business, but Franklin is able to convince him to stay in for a little longer, as they will be expanding. And in order to expand, Franklin is looking for more high-level dealers, and for the same, he wants to start business in the Inglewood territory. On learning that Manboy's sister is married to the leader of Inglewood gang, he sends Leon with Manboy to meet with Scully in order to finalize a deal. Scully is a bit crazy, but he assures them that he can move their product. Leon lets Franklin know the same, though he doesn't want to start supplying to him, as he saw how crazy Scully was. Franklin wanting to expand, and Manboy assuring that he can keep Scully in check, he decides to start supplying to him. Teddy gets to know from Gustavo that the shipments have stopped. As Teddy goes to see Rigo, he finds that he has stopped the shipment and will only resume them once he has a club. Teddy asks for Julia's help in order to get him a club before she leaves, and they are able to get Rigo a club. Being with Rigo, Julia learns about the DEA agent who worked with Teddy. Later, she asks Teddy about her, and he tells her everything. Julia, in order to know more, meets with Tony. She learns from him that although it was made to look like she ran away, but he knows that she is dead, and Teddy McDonald's aka Reed Thompson is responsible for her disappearance. Sissy and Alton let Franklin know about his Uncle Jack, who used to be an informant for the FBI in Black Panthers. They tell him that once his use for the FBI was over, he was gunned down by them. Franklin getting to know this, starts reading about various FBI and CIA operations. In his research, he learns that his uncle was not gunned down, but was shot with a single bullet. His father lets him know the truth, that the FBI outed him as an informant, once his use for them was over. And Alton, in order to protect him from being tortured by the Panthers, ended his life quickly. Franklin later goes to Avi, as he has still not received his money. And in exchange for more time, he wants Avi to find out everything he could about Teddy. Meanwhile, Gustavo goes to his brother, Hernan, and wants him to work with him. He assures him that he will be there for his family. Hernan and his wife Nubia agree to move and to work with him. Nubia lets Gustavo know that she is being threatened by her ex-husband, since she decided to move. Gustavo asks her not to worry, and he takes care of her ex-husband. While Avi gives Franklin the details about Teddy. Alton also hired a veteran to provide them details about Teddy. Having all the information, they now know that Teddy indeed works for the CIA. Alton lets Franklin know that he only has two options. One is to build a protection plan, while the other is that of running. Meanwhile, Andre gets into an argument with his daughter, as he wanted her to leave for college early, but she refuses. Melody is also pushed away by Franklin for his father's actions. And she is also not welcomed in the community for the same. Melody, frustrated by her father, doesn't want to go to college. But her friend is able to make her see the opportunities she will be having if she goes to college. Melody, realizing the same, lets her father know that she will go on a road trip with him before she goes to college, and they can leave in 2 days, as she needs time to say goodbye to her friends. Later, Melody goes to a party, and being there she tries the rock for the first time. She later returns home, and takes her father's car. In the morning, Andre, not being able to find her, goes through her stuff, and he finds a lot of cash. As he searches for her, he finds his car stripped, and he knows that Melody might be in trouble. He reluctantly goes to Franklin to ask for his help. Sissy asks Franklin to find Melody. Franklin is able to find Melody, being high on rock, and we learn that she went on a bender with Wanda. He brings her back home, and suggests to Andre that he needs to keep an eye on her. On the other hand, Julia is afraid for Teddy, realizing how much out of the line he has gone for the mission. She asks Teddy again to move away with her. But Teddy lets her know that he will do that in a few years, once the mission is over. Knowing this, Julia goes to Andre and lets him know that they need to stop Franklin, and leaves with him an address. As Andre breaks into the address which Julia gave him, he learns that it's Franklin's house, which he got for himself. As he searches the place for his batch and gun, he finds Franklin's money, as well as the file he kept on Teddy. As Franklin reaches there, he sees that the house was broken into, although his money was not touched, but the file he kept on Teddy was gone. Teddy is called by Rigo for a meeting. Being there, he learns that Rigo's DEA mole informed him that the DEA is coming after him. And they have linked him to Ramiro's family. And with Teddy being the only link between him and Ramiro, Rigo thinks that it is him who is the DEA's informant. Seeing the writing on the wall, Teddy lets Rigo know that he works for the CIA. And in order to make him believe the same, he shows him his operation, and assures him that he need not worry. As Rigo leaves, Teddy calls all his contacts, asking them to lay low for a few days. Avi, getting the warning, decides to leave, but before he could, he is ambushed. Although he survived, his bodyguard was not so lucky. Franklin, getting a call from Teddy, knows that he was not the one who broke in. And now he knows that the only other person who could have broken into his house was Andre. Teddy was able to figure out that it is Julia who tried to destroy his entire operation. As he confronts her, Julia lets him know that she was sent there to study every aspect of his operation, so that he could be replaced. And seeing how invested he got in the operation, the only way for her to get him out was to destroy it completely. She tells him that she did all of it out of love for him. But Teddy doesn't see it that way, and he feels betrayed and hurt. He calls her a traitor and asks her to leave. He also lets her know that he doesn't want to see her again. Teddy contacts Havemeyer and lets him know how Julia tried to destroy the operation. He tells him that he can still get it back running, provided he is the one running it. Havemeyer, knowing how much supplies this operation has been sending for the war efforts, knows that he has no choice, and decides to back him. He gets the hit lifted from Avi's head. And he also introduces Rigo with his boss, assuring him that he is in partnership with the government now. Gustavo shows Teddy what he has been working on, and we see that he is getting tunnels ready in order to move the product across the border, thereby eliminating the need for other routes. Meanwhile, Andre shares what he found with his friend Nix, and they plan to go after all of them. Franklin later gets into Andre's house through Melody's room. He threatens him with his own gun and takes back all the documents he took. Andre lets him know that he does not have it in him to kill someone, let alone a cop, in his own house. Franklin asks him to forget everything he saw and move away. Andre lets him know that he will be leaving with Melody, but he will be back and will come after him. Franklin, knowing this, shoots and kills Andre and makes it look like a suicide. He also gets his alibi in place by going over a story with Rob that they stayed the night together. Everyone feels that Andre took his own life, as he was going through a lot. Pending complaints against him, being suspended, and having a daughter addicted to the rock. But Nix, being with him a few hours ago, knows that this is not the case. Alton also knows in his guts that Franklin killed Andre, despite him claiming to be away. Melody, finding out about her father's death, is broken. And being back in her room, she realized that it was Franklin who got in the house through the window and shot her father. She goes to Nix to tell him the same. Nix, hearing from her, stops Franklin on the road and gets back behind him. He tells him that he knows it was him who killed Andre, and he also saw the file Andre had. Franklin thought that he was about to be executed, but Nix wants to be paid weekly for being quiet. Nix later tells Melody that his father indeed committed suicide. Franklin later catches up with Teddy, and they discuss how hard and lonely it is for them to run the business they are in. Teddy assures him that he will be with him till the end. While Melody's aunt has come to take care of her brother's funeral, and has decided to sell the house and move away. Sissy helps her in getting things ready for the funeral. Melody, broken about her father, decides to take matters into her own hands, and she shoots Franklin and leaves him for dead. We later get a look at an alternate reality, where Franklin, despite trying his best in college, had to leave. And when he returns back, he finds Jerome pushing weed, while Louie is pregnant. Leon, living with Wanda, and they have a kid. While he later gets a visit from Teddy, who wants to recruit him to work for the CIA. We also see him working, as he is being robbed by Carvel, who is shot down by Andre. But as reality hits, we see Franklin, weak and recovering from 3 bullet injuries, as Alton brings him home. But with him being in the hospital, a gang war has erupted between Scully and Manboy. And many have lost their life as they go after one another. Sissy and Alton want Franklin to move away, but Franklin lets them know that he is not going anywhere. Jerome and Louie want Franklin to take back control, as things are getting out of hand, but Sissy and Alton are against it, and ask them to wait, as Franklin is still recovering. But Franklin reaches there and tells them that he is ready to be back. As the season ends, we see Franklin going to Teddy and letting him know that he is back, and he will get the situation under control. He also tells him that he knows that he is in the CIA, and he can take him down anytime. But if he protects him and his family, he will make so much money for him that he will be able to fund the war all by himself, and they can ride into the sunset together. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, please subscribe.